guys, today we're going to look at our household budget. I have a lot of different budgets that I manage or help manage, like my son's budget and my daughter's budget and actually our business's budget, but this is our household budget. I just realized I have my glasses on. And I want to do this for a couple of reasons. Probably more than a couple, but a couple for sure. First, I want to go over this because I think that it will give context to a lot of the other things that I've been talking about and that I will talk about in the future. It gives context, how specific I am about things and how I think about the things that we do and our goals and all of that. But also, in my anecdotal experience in life, most budgets, household budgets, I would say, are managed by men or by the husbands, by the person who earns most of the money, which I do understand that thinking, in terms of personality, in terms of maybe wiring in the brain, in terms of, well, it makes sense that I would manage it because I bring most of it in. However, in our household, what has always worked for us is me managing it. That's a little bit personality. That's a little bit my security gland can relax when I really know what's going on. But also, I feel like it's less chaotic and there have been fewer disagreements and a little less friction financially in our marriage and in our household because I'm the one who spends most of the money. And so it does make sense that I'm the one who's managing it and I'm the one who has to know, okay, before I buy that thing like a Vitamix or something, where's the money going to come from? I feel like our budget better supports actually our lifestyle and what our goals are because I'm the one who's kind of designed it all. All right, here we go. We are looking at October 2023. I want to show you the income box at the top. Income for October. For me personally, my sources of income are a salary. We have one salary. Interest earned from a certain set of bank accounts. Then you have more interest end of last month, and that's on a different account. We have our regular accounts that we're in all the time, and then we actually have a Fidelity account, and we are just bought into the SPAX fund. It's SPAXX. When we met with just a few weeks ago, our financial advisor, who we've been with for over 10 years, and we really like him a lot, he said, for some of your things, like your part of your emergency fund, car savings, things like that, let's go ahead and put you in the SPAX. It's currently paying 4.98% annually. That's good. It's probably not even keeping up with inflation, but that's pretty good. I track the interest on that account. Color Music fixed take home. We have a full-time income, also have our business, and our business is growing a lot. At some point, we will be doing it full-time, but my security gland is really large and, we're raising a family and the amount of income that we need to bring home each month to be able to do all the investing and experiences and things that we want to do, the business just needs to get bigger. I think that if we tightened our belts and had a different situation, or if we didn't have our kids, if we were in our 20s instead of our 40s, we probably would just be doing it full time now, but we don't. So one of the things that we're doing is we're letting the money, the retained earnings, build up. One, to reinvest so we can keep growing it, but two, it's there for when we do make the jump. We've got extra cushion sitting there. So we just have a fixed amount of money that we take home each month from our business. No matter what our income is, whatever profits are, we just take a set amount of money home each month. You could always come over here to add income if you had a special thing. For example, last month in September, I had my Costco rebate. It was actually the biggest one we've ever had because we bought some business purchases on it. So it was actually $378. So when you put that in there, you can see up here at the left, it says $378 left to budget. Every dollar is based on a zero base budget. That methodology, which I have come to definitely believe that's the only way to actually budget. There's no money left over at the end of the period. There's no extra money. Put it everywhere. Even if you have a line item that says just in case and you put it all there. Costco rebate is there, but because that was last month, we're just gonna delete that. So that's my income. So before we get into all of these little line items, I want to shift your attention over to the right here where it says summary, transactions, and accounts. We're just going to stick on the summary tab here. You can see income is 0, so there's nothing there. The circle here would have colored segments around it if I had spent anything anywhere. For example, for emergency fund, if I put, $110 in there, and I'll just say that I have $110 coming in, it just says, okay, you have $110 coming in and you're putting it all toward liquid savings. So you can see liquid savings is blue and it's like this bright blue color. So it's actually really cool when you have numbers in there because you can see visually how much of your money, kind of proportion wise, how much of your money is going where. And you can see going down the right side, these percentages, it would say 10% nutrition or whatever the percentage is. It automatically calculates it for you so you can see what your ratios are. If you're into the stuff that Caleb Hammer talks about, other people, the 50, 30, 20 rule or whatever, software wwhere it's like 50% is living, 30% is fun, and 20% is investing or something like that, this would be really helpful. This software would be really helpful for just calculating your percentages. So let's look at the categories because my budget has kind of a lot in it. I wish I didn't have as many line items and categories, but I feel like then my budget wouldn't be as useful to me. If I made it so that there were more, so that each line item was more specific, it just would take forever to find anything to scroll through. So I'm going to show you we're sticking here to the right. I'm going to show you the categories. So 1 is liquid savings, 2 is investments, 3 is nutrition, 4 is medical and fitness, 5 is cars, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all have to do with home, and I split them up so that it's like not one big monster category. 6 is utilities, 7 is house, so like the physical structure of our house. 8 is yard, so anything outside, some garage things I would count yard, depending on what it is. And then 9 is homemaking, so that's like cleaning supplies and stuff like that. We'll get to it. 10 is life admin, so these are more boring things that I just didn't have anywhere else to put them really that made sense. 11 is Geo launch, so Geo, we call our kids the Geo kids. So that's kind of their education launch fund. Then each one of us has our own category. So 12 is Michael, 13 is Kristin, 14 is Diego, 15 is Francisca. Then we have fun. So 16 is holidays, 17 is family, 18 is generosity, and 19 is virtuous heretic, which is this. Let's just jump right in. So category number 1 is liquid savings. We have our emergency fund, and there are a couple of things within the Every Dollar software that they have like locked it, so you can't change it. And one is this emergency fund because it goes with the Dave Ramsey plan. They really want you to have an emergency fund, so I can't even edit this to like make it say something else. And then I have my Fidelity SPACs here, so this just keeps track of what I put in there. For cars, what did I put in? For my emergency fund, what did I put in? And then the growth, we can take it out each month and do what we want with it, or just leave it there and let it compound. But that is just a catch-all place. It will always have 0. It's just a place to actually make notes. So you can see, for example, in my notes, which I need to update them, I added $23,000 of our emergency fund in here, and I have added nothing for cars yet and nothing for appliances yet. Like I said, we just met with I want to call him our Chris Cook, because that's his name, our advisor. I've transferred some money in there and gotten some of it going, but I need to move more over. Then we have emergency cash. Story about the emergency cash. When he's worked in a few different places, kind of one company, but it got bought, and then some of the people left and formed something new. Anyway, one of these fellows who he's been working with for probably almost 15 years now, he's a really interesting guy, and we were talking about Hurricane Katrina. Mike and I actually were dating when Hurricane Katrina happened. It was that long ago. I have a story about that, even though we lived in Salt Lake City at the time. I met a whole bunch of people who were brought here, kind of rescued here, I guess, and Harlem Globetrotters came. It was cool. He was saying, this fellow that my husband worked with was saying that he was in the area, New Orleans, when Hurricane Katrina hit. And so in the aftermath, he went to like a convenience store, like a gas station, to buy like water or something, but there was no electricity, so he couldn't use a credit card or a debit card or anything, so he had to use cash. And he only had like a $100 bill or a $50 bill or something. And so he had to choose either buy the thing or maybe it was a shaving kit. I want to say maybe it was a shaving kit. But anyway, he had to choose to either buy the thing with a bunch of like junk food with it to get his money's worth, or just like not buy the thing, or buy the thing and just pay way too much for it. I don't remember what he did, but that story, I mean, it was well over a decade ago. It's always stuck with me. So we keep emergency cash, and and I don't think you need to keep a large amount of emergency cash. It's all $1 bills. It looks like more money than it is. And then we have our banking account minimum. So, when you have an account with a bank or a credit union, they normally have like a minimum account balance. That money is just locked away in there. So that's what that is. And then extra savings. So every month we have a methodology that we use for just adding some money to extra savings. savings. Why? Just to have extra cash. We don't borrow money. We have a mortgage on our house and that's it. So as much as we can, we don't borrow money. And since 2007, it's worked out pretty well for us. Having a little bit of extra cash lying around has always been helpful, so that if you're kind of thinking of getting a couch maybe, and you happen to see one that is perfect and it's like on sale or something, it's nice to be able to have, even just a couple $1,000s lying around that you can buy it and then just over time replenish the savings back. And then taxes. We're at the point now where we have enough money in savings to, especially in the Fidelity account, the SPACs that pays almost 5% a year, we always owe a little extra on taxes because of the interest that we earned. So I just put 30% of whenever we get interest from any of our accounts or anything, I always put 30% of it into this for taxes, for 2023 taxes. Category 2 is investments. You can see here BS4, BS5, BF6, BS6, BS7, and then HSA. So if you're familiar with the Dave Ramsey stuff, that's baby step 4, baby step 5. Really quickly, his plan, baby step 1 is a baby emergency fund, and I think he still says $1,000, but I don't know. For me, I always felt a little bit better having 1 month of living expenses instead, but I'm not criticizing him, I'm just saying for me. So that's baby step 1. Baby step 2 is paying off all of your debt except for your mortgage. And there's an order for that. So that's baby step 2, baby step 2. Baby step 3 is a fully funded emergency fund, and that is 6 months of living expenses. Then now you can see this is going to become relevant to the investments. There's baby step 4, 5, and 6, which all kind of get done at the same time. So baby step 4 is investing for retirement. I think he says 15%. A couple years ago, I kind of fell back on listening to his podcast, but for well over a decade, 13 years or something, I listened to almost every single podcast that he put out. His Millionaire Theme Hours are so fun to listen to. My kids used to love listening to him too. So now I'm I can't believe I don't remember, but I think it's 15% or something. I don't know. Retirement, we don't do that percentage. We basically fully fund our IRAs. We take the match on the 401k, and that's all we do for baby step 4. Baby step 5 is kids' college. I don't want my kids to go to college unless they need to. It's not our default position like it was for me, 23 years ago. We've taken that and just said for their launch. So instead of calling it college, we call it launch. Launching them out into the world. So that might be seed money to help them start a business. That might be seed money, to buy a junky old truck and a trailer and a lawnmower and some things. It might be to buy a laptop and do some things that way. We have no idea. We've run the numbers with them hey, compound interest. It's an UTMA, Universal Transfer to Minors Act. So you can see here, baby step 5, 529. That is a college fund. It has about $10,000 in it. We stopped investing in it when Diego was 2 or something. You have to use it on education, but it is shareable between siblings. So if Diego and Francisco take some college classes or trade school or something, we'll definitely use that first. But then you can see before that, baby step 5, the UTMA, that's a Universal Transfer to Minors Act, and that's basically just giving money to your kids. That's all in mutual funds, and that is the fund that's growing. Each of their UTMAs have over $10,000 in them, and we just started those 2 or 3 years ago. It's pretty exciting. So it's the UTMAs that we've run the numbers with them, and we've said, hey, if you actually don't need this for the launch because you're working and we're working and together we can cash flow whatever your future is going to be, even if it is college. If we don't have to use that UTMA money to fund it, here's what it will be worth when you're 30. Here, and then you can use it to help buy a house. But what if you don't need it to buy a house because we're helping you, you're helping you, and we're all able to make it happen? Then what about when you're 40? What about when you're 50? So they can see how with this, and their dad and I have fully plan on always transferring money to them as a method of avoiding death taxes, but that's another video. We've talked about that. So it's cool because as we get older, we have some money to work with to really dream about what we want our future to be. But then also at the same time, it's but if we don't and it gets bigger, and then if we don't need it and then it gets bigger, it's whoa. So that's pretty cool. But that's baby step 5 is kids college or kids launch. Baby step 6 is the home mortgage. So I have 2 here because I have our regular mortgage payment, which It's due on the 1st, but we pay it on the 28th so that it's just early every month and it's not an issue. And then the other baby step 6 is just a little extra. So Dave Ramsey would say, pour on the coals, baby, pay off as much as you can. We don't really feel that way because we have a lot of goals. We have really big goals. You know, in terms of transferring wealth to your children to avoid taxes, tax-free gifts are only like $10,000 a year per person or something. And so we'd rather max that out and just let our house pay off. It's a 15-year mortgage. Our mortgage as of today is $175,000. So we're paying a little bit extra right now for like a year and a half more, 2 years more, and then it will automatically pay off on its own $20,000 a year. But right now it's paying off like $18,500 or $18,800 or something a year. So we're just paying a little extra so that every 6 months we can celebrate that we paid off another $10,000 on our mortgage. So at the end of the year, we'll be at $169,999. That's technically the 160s, so that's when we celebrate. And then baby step 7 is just build wealth and give generously. Generosity is a whole other topic that we can talk about another time, but I have very strong thoughts and feelings about generosity and what you should do first and what you should do last. When we hit baby step 7, that's when we will start to max out the 10K to each of our kids each year from each of us, which would actually be $20,000 a year to each of them, which will be wonderful. And then we have our own plans for the future in terms of investments and things that we want to do. So that's where that is. We're not doing anything for it yet, but this is, like I said, the budget is also a way to keep track of your goals and keep them on the radar and know what they are. So our goals are kind of wrapped into this too. So we have lots of buckets in here that don't receive anything yet because it's just a thought and it's just like, well, when it comes up, we have a place for it already. And then the HSA is just a health savings account. It's got like $3,300 in it. We're just trying not to touch it so that it can build because it's in mutual funds. But it is our money, it is there, and we can use it if we need to. Category number 3 is nutrition. The way that I do groceries is I budget for the first half of the month and the second half of the month. I feel like weekly it's not quite enough because sometimes you buy things that will last you a couple of weeks. Like for example, refried beans. I buy the really big cans at like a business center Costco. When I cook those beans, it lasts for 2 weeks. I just go 2 weeks, but instead of 2 weeks, I just call it the first half of the month, and the second half of the month, we kind of get paid that way too, so it works well for us. If I do my groceries just for the whole month, sometimes by the end of the month, like when we have a week left to go, there's like $40 left. This works well for me. Okay, then we have eating out. If our eating budget was like 25% more than what we could possibly spend, I would probably just put these together, but it's not. And so I have to be kind of efficient with my groceries and kind of efficient with my eating out, so they're separate. Under that, I have vitamins and miscellaneous kitchen. Miscellaneous kitchen typically means stuff for microgreens, which will be another video very soon in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited about that one, but buying my supplies for microgreens, I don't know if I could call the seeds food, and like the cocoa mats and things like that. So we just call it miscellaneous kitchen. So vitamins and miscellaneous kitchen. Then we have the periodic big Costco, which I just mentioned. So we don't go there all the time, but when we do go, we buy like 10 cans of those beans, and sometimes we buy if they have the chocolate banana Kirkland signature shakes, they keep discontinuing them and then bringing them back, and they're so good. I've only ever seen them at that one Costco with the business center. So that's what that is. And then I also have, this is another line item that rarely ever has stuff in it, Costco membership September, November. We get our rebate check in September, which is why I mentioned up in the income section, like, oh yeah, it was this much, we just got it. But our membership isn't due until November. So when I get the rebate check, I instantly put the exact amount to the penny, what I need to pay for a membership renewal in this line item. And that way I know how much of it I can actually spend, and then I put the rest of it somewhere else. Category 4 is medical fitness. This one is kind of a difficult one for me. I feel like it could be way longer. Diego's braces, Francisca's braces, all the things, but I really have tried to truncate it as much as I can while still having it be useful. I have just general. Then I have my thyroid. I don't even know. I was was diagnosed like 15 months ago with an autoimmune disorder, hypothyroidism. It's called Hashimoto's. It was a total shock. So I guess normally people have symptoms and they can't get a diagnosis. I was kind of the opposite. I was getting ready to turn 40. I was going in for a physical and okay, yeah, we'll do your blood, whatever. At the very end, he's like, is there anything else? And Mike and I had it at the same time. And Mike's like, you've been feeling a little more tired lately. And I was like, yeah, I have. I've just been feeling a little more tired. Hardly at all. I mean, I still have like more energy than most people my age, I think. But anyway, he's like, well, we'll check your thyroid and see. And he's like, oh yeah, we could barely even get a reading, whatever. So Mike and I are reading about thyroid. He's like, oh, it's autoimmune. It's the rest of your life. You need to take this pill every day. And I'm just like overwhelmed. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this is crazy. Like, I just thought, oh, I'm turning 40. I'm a little more tired. My metabolism has slowed down a little bit. I've gained like 6 or 7 pounds. I came out with this like autoimmune diagnosis and like a lifetime of pharmaceuticals. What? So I just take NDTs. I've not taken that pill once. NDTs are natural desiccated thyroid. I get mine from Ancestral Supplements. My friend Natalie, her husband Jason kind of had something similar going on. They were like heroes to me, or guardian angels or whatever. They just came right in, swooped in. They're like, you need this type of seaweed, you need Brazil nuts for these specific reasons. And I'm like, oh my gosh, reading about it, like, yes, they're like on the right track. Take NDTs, do this. So I just do that. I feel great. And I'm looking for a different doctor. And that's a whole other conversation. But my NDTs are funded through that line item. Okay, then we have fitness. So that's equipment and healing. We've had times where we've had like a gym membership. We've had times where we don't. Right now, we're not doing the gym. We have an elliptical. We do weight training. We have bicycles. We do a lot of different things. But right now, honestly, we don't even really have time to go to the gym. They're and I get it because most people's kids are annoying and obnoxious and they're being raised on screens. So they don't have any contextual understanding of where they are and what's cool and what's not cool. But there's just a lot of things our kids can't do at the gym, even if they have proper form, even if they're not going to act like idiots. So we're home now. But so equipment and healing. So buying more workout equipment. We really want to get a low bike. We don't have room for it, but we really want one. And then healing, especially me, my knees are totally messed up. Then we have sun protection. We have Michael's implant. So my husband is getting an implant because this tooth right here, he has a lingual groove defect. It's like a genetic thing, but anyway, the tooth is toast. So he's getting an implant. That's really expensive. So we're just kind of gradually putting money in there so that at the different checkpoints of the process, because it takes almost a year, we have the money that we need for that step of the process. And then we have health insurance down below. Now, currently, our health insurance is taken out before we receive our paycheck. But that will not always be the case. So I have the bucket there. So it's ready to go when we need to make that jump. Category 5 is cars. Oh, and by the way, you can collapse these if you want to. Okay, just wanted to add that in there. So 5 is cars. So we have gas, maintenance and purchase. And there have been times where I've had maintenance on car 1, maintenance on car 2, purchase car 1, replace car 2. And it's just too many line items and it just isn't a factor that often. So I've just put it all together. Maintenance and purchase is just one line item, insurance. And then you can see over here in my title, I have insurance and then I have this bar and then it says MAR. So March. So that I know, okay, March is when we have to pay that bill. And then I have DMV. Our cars are named Sally and McQueen. Our daughter named them that when she was like, how old was she? Like 3 or 4. Anyway, it worked for a number of reasons. DMV, so Sally has to be renewed in June and McQueen in October. So this month, I know, reading that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need to do that this month. Okay, that's good to know. Driver's licenses, you don't have to put that there, but I run such a specific budget for myself, and driver's license have actually gotten kind of expensive. The last time I renewed it, it was like $50 or something. That's kind of expensive, and it's a lot of money for me to just have come out of nowhere because of how I budget. So I just put a few dollars in there each month. Down here, we have driver number 3 because our son is 13. In 2 years, he'll be 15 and we'll be needing to do driver's ed and all of that in preparation for him being 16. So I have driver number 3, insurance, car, gas, and that's a factor in 2026. Category number 6. So this starts our series of home categories. So all of this is home, but they're just kind of broken apart. Home, we have paid to the city, water and trash, gas, natural gas, family phones, power, internet, flex. As you know, utilities fluctuate, and The flex account is a really good way for me to kind of even out the hills and valleys. So I kind of have a set amount for all the utilities each month. And then when the bills come in and I know what I owe for each one, whatever is left over in the category, some months it's $5, some months it's $45. I just stick it in flex so that I can then, if one month the utilities are more than what I have budgeted for that category, I can borrow some out of the flex account. And then I have homeowners insurance. That's not a factor right now because it does escrow or whatever with our mortgage company, but when our house is paid off in a few years, it'll be different. We'll be paying that ourselves. Category 7 is the house. We have maintenance, just like regular things like light bulbs or whatever, appliances, and this is awesome. Having a sinking fund for appliances is wonderful. We just recently had to buy a dishwasher. We were just like, yeah, we have plenty of money in appliances, so let's just buy one. It wasn't like stressful at all. It was so wonderful. So it's kind of like a mini car payment. I think I do like $175 a month into there. I would like to do more, but I just can't right now. So it's like 20 grand every decade. That's pretty good, right? Even if when you need to buy an appliance, there's not enough in there, it's at least something to get you going. Then we have security. Security would be security system like subscription. That would be guns, ammo, gun training, all that kind of stuff. And then we have HVAC visits. So we have like a thing where our HVAC company comes out twice a year and just makes sure everything is working well for us. July is when the bill is due, but they come in July and January. Then I have big maintenance. So big maintenance would be things that don't happen very often, like a roof repair or a new garage door, having someone come and do the drywall and all of that. I don't even know, but I know houses occasionally need big maintenance. That's what that's for. Then I have HOA, which is due in January, which I hate having an HOA, but our HOA is as non-existent as they come, I guess. It's only a couple $100s a year. I have baby step 7 house projects. I've kind of taken, when our house is paid off, a set amount of that house payment that'll go into investments, and then a set amount that would go, that I know will still have to go to like homeowners insurance, regular maintenance, and like property taxes. And then I've kind of just done what's left after all of that going toward house projects. Because I want to feel the benefit of like, okay, now our house is paid off. We can like do some nicer, cooler things here. Category number 8 is yard. So I have yard, just general maintenance, and miscellaneous needs. And those are 2 separate things for me. Garden and plants, irrigation, lawn fertilizer, which is in March. And the way I buy my lawn fertilizer, I buy like the whole season's worth, because it's like, I think I use the IFA stuff and it's like a 4-step process plus humate. If you buy it all in March, you get a discount. I think you just get the humate for free, but you get the 4-step process like for spring, for early summer, for late summer, and for fall/winterization. I do it all once, but it means it's like $150 or something in March. Again, for me, that's enough out of my budget that it just makes sense for me to set, $13, $14 aside each month to pay for that. Then I have aerate. In October, we have our sprinkler blowout because we live where it snows, and so you really should do that. So we do that. And then this, I probably should have deleted it, but one of our goals was to buy some of those, I just call them toolboxes, but like benches, like in the garage, like a workbench, where it has like the wood tabletop and like the metal drawers. Anyway, we did buy a couple of those. Okay, box number 9, category number 9, homemaking. For homemaking, I have cleaning, laundry, and house items. So cleaning obviously would be, vinegar, sanitizing wipes, dish pods or whatever. Laundry would be, laundry detergent or things like that. And then house items would be like toilet paper and Kleenexes, for example. I put them all together. I've had them separate before, but it just works better for me to have them all together. And then I have organize. So this is not big things like furniture. That would be different. And I don't even have furniture in my budget right now because it's just not in my budget. I feel like I don't need any new furniture, but that would be another line item that we've had in the past, like just furniture. And then I have romance, the ordinary/cozy vibe. So that would be like candles, incense, things like that. And then I have calendars, planners, office needs. 10, life admin. So again, these are things that I'm just like, I don't know where else to put them. I have my online storage, iCloud, domains. We own a bunch of domains. We own a couple of domains for each of my kids, and then we own a couple for me. We own VirtuousHeretic, but that's not in this category. And then I have tax filing because unless you're doing it on paper and mailing it in, whether you're using software or you're using a person, you have to pay for that. We have life insurance. So my life insurance, and again, it says March, and then we have some identity insurance through Xander September, that's due in May. Life insurance for Mike, he has 2 policies. Then we have passports. Again, passports, they don't come up very often, but when they come up, it's like, oh yeah, I need $170 or whatever. I just set maybe like $6 or $7 aside each month for that, but we all do our passports at the same time. So it's like $700 or $800, $600 or something for passports. And you know, when you need a passport, you like need it. Tech, obviously we know what that is. Office is here as well. So that would be like printer paper or whatever. Geo Lunch, we have Diego and Francisca, and then common projects. That's just for like if Francisca wants to do horseback riding lessons, or if Diego wants to buy a drone or something like that. Common projects would be something that we're buying or spending money on, like that they equally want to do. So we put a certain amount of money in there. That might also be for extra academic supplies that we don't get reimbursed, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that's what we have for them. And they have a lot of say as to how that money gets spent. For example, we just bought a couple of amps. One was a business expense, but the other one was for Diego. And so that would have come out of here. Now, it's going to be reimbursed, it's reimbursable, but if it wasn't, it would have just come out of here, and that would have been up to him to say, yeah, I want to use some of my interest in like growth and all of that, my educational money, I want to use it to buy this amp because he's learning to play the guitar. You see here, Diego, MTH 7th. So that means Diego, My Tech High, 7th grade. This is his 7th grade year. And then Francisca, My Tech High, 4th grade year. Down below, My Tech High next year, $3,400. So the way that I do My Tech High, I get reimbursed for $1,700 of Diego's educational expenses and $1,700 for Francisca's expenses. The way it works is you have categories of things. This will be another video. We'll talk about that. And My Tech High is in multiple states, particularly in the West. So it's worth looking into if you're interested. You buy things that qualify under their rules for for math, for language arts, for science or social studies, for tech or entrepreneurship, for an elective, and then just with their technology allowance. You buy things that qualify, you save the receipts, photograph the receipts, whatever. You say that, okay, I spent, $80 on an amp. I want that to come out of his tech allowance. Tech allowance is $500 for the school year. And so you fill out the form and do all of that, and then they go, okay, yep, that's good. And let's say in all you spent $700, they'll just deposit the money into your bank account, the amount that you spent. So they reimburse you. So what I do every year to fund it, so you have to put the money in yourself once, but then after that, it's this virtuous cycle where you spend some of the money, they reimburse it, and then now you have it to spend. You can either just fund it halfway yourself, and then when you've spent half of the money, reimburse it, and then when you get the money back, do the other half. That doesn't work for me. I like to have a little more freedom than that. So I funded each of them totally. So when I spend for Diego for 7th grade, it comes out of here. And then when they reimburse me, I put it in here. Do the same thing for Francisca. So now I'm not even really like using my money. And then when they're done with My Tech High, after I get reimbursed, now it's my money again. So you end up getting your money back, but you have to be the one who gets it started. That's what this is. And then we have book club down here. So we just do a book club every month, whoever wants to be involved. We don't I don't want to say dumb down the books, but we don't bring the books down. We pick the book per month, and whoever wants to participate in it can. We started this when Diego was 12. I don't expect Francisca to want to participate until she's probably around that time, but she can if she wants to. So for example, book club, for September, we had to bump it because we had other things going on. So it's going to be this Sunday, October 1st. They are doing Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, which is a Stoic book. There are the 4 Stoic virtues, which are temperance, which is discipline, courage, wisdom, and justice. He did Courage is Calling. We haven't read that yet, but that was the first one. And then Discipline is Destiny would be temperance. So those are the 4 Stoic virtues. I definitely consider myself a Stoic. So that's the book club. But I don't participate in book club. That's a special thing they do with Dad. They typically go to Chipotle, they bring their notes, and they just talk about the book, and they just have lunch for an hour or two, and it's great. But so that's where we pay for book club. Typically, Mike does the audiobook because he's very busy and he just listens while he's running on the elliptical in the morning. Audible is something we do, and actually Audible is reimbursable with My Tech High, which is cool. But so we typically buy the audio version of a book, and then if we can, we get the book also from the library. Diego prefers to read, so he does the library version of the book, and then Mike does the audio version. Category 12 starts the personal categories. 12, 13, 14, and 15 are going to be Michael, Kristin, Diego, and Francisca. Michael, we have body care, so that's just all of his hygiene stuff. Clothes, shoes, fitness. Then you see flex money. So flex money is what we do primarily in lieu of just buying him knick-knacky stuff for Christmas, birthdays, things like that, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. He is like a lot of men. He doesn't really want or need little things, and like most women, I want to give him something. I want to wrap something. I want him to have gifts to open on Christmas and on his birthday and all of that. This is kind of our meeting in the middle. Flex money. If I can find something that he needs or that he wants or whatever, that's small or whatever, we do that so he has some fun things to open. But most of his gifts are just money. So we just call it flex money. And honestly, he's got like $700 in there. At some point, he'll have enough money to go do something really fun with it. Who knows what? Maybe he'll buy a guitar or go on a trip or something. I don't even know. Then he has a little bit of money each month for dating. For me, Diego and Francisca, and then we have guy time. Guy time typically has just been him going out to lunch with his brother and a couple of friends that he has. He actually has 2 brothers, but one brother doesn't live here, and then one lives like 3 miles from us. My categories are almost exactly the same. I have body care and makeup. I have laser hair removal, which I'm not into Botox. I'm not into fillers. I'm not into like any of that kind of stuff, veneers, whatever. I am totally cool with seeing what 45-year-old, 50-year-old, 55-year-old Kristin looks like, and I'm looking forward to that. As I age, I'm seeing what my, grandparents and great-grandparents and parents, look like. You see that connection. So I'm totally cool with that. However, laser hair removal. I have always hated my bikini line hair, always hated it. And so that is something that will happen. I don't put any money in it. It's just a bucket that I've created because it goes with my goals that I have for the next few years ahead. I feel like when I have laser hair removal, I will have made it because I have so many other financial goals that I just don't feel right diverting money to that. Even if it's $500, I just don't feel right doing it. And Mike has said, well, let's look into it. Let's see how much it costs. And I'm just like, no, I just have so many other goals and things I want to do that it's just, I would feel disgusted with myself. But it's there because the time will come where it's right to do it. Okay, then I have clothes, shoes, fitness. I also have flex money. My flex money has like 42 cents in it because that's just how I am. Then I also have dating, and then I have a little bit of money for each of the people in my family as well. And then I have at the very bottom, no babies. Category 14, Diego. Practice independence, which Virtuous Heretic number 2, I got into the details of that. At this point, it's $100 a month, and it just goes to fund like 8 or 9 things that he's responsible for himself now. He's responsible for making those decisions and managing the money and making sure it's still there when he needs it. He's not responsible for funding his own life. So this is where we give him the money. Then I have commissions, hip hop, which, okay, one of the cool things about hip hop is the tuition aspect, not the fees, not the costume, not the recital fees, but just the tuition, which is most of the cost. My Tech High refunds that. So they will refund me up to like $300 a year of tuition within the dance elective, the fine arts elective. And then I can use his tech allowance, which is $500 a year, to reimburse the rest if $300 isn't quite enough. Again, they will only reimburse tuition, but it's pretty cool. So what we've done, because our kids both do hip hop, they would do hip hop whether they were in My Tech High or not. Just in case we don't do My Tech High anymore for whatever reason, I just don't want the golden handcuffs, like we have to do it no matter what. We backed ourselves into a corner. We have hip hop fully funded in our budget just in case, which means when My Tech High reimburses us for hip hop, that money becomes free money and we just divert it right back into their interests. Then we have activities. Activities really can be anything. Now that Diego is a teenager, it's probably going to be less structured class activities. I want him to still have mentors other than his dad and myself, a diversity of mentors in the world. Typically that's been like archery, swim lessons, tennis classes, but going forward, I don't know what it will be. We'll just see what it ends up being. We have other needs, just things that come up. Lifelong gifts, which I just want to say about lifelong gifts. Lifelong gifts, this is one of the ways that we can on the back end be keeping our children level in terms of how we treat them and the resources we put into each of them without in life having to just make them feel entitled, like, well, she got something, I want something. As an example, we have quite a bit of money in Diego's lifelong gifts bucket, we have almost none in Francisca's because Francisca received a lifelong gift from her dad this year. I bought her her dad, we did, but it came from her dad. It was a gift from her dad. Father-daughter thing, right? Because strong fathers, strong daughters, like that's really important. I feel like that's one of the things that makes the world go around. And I think a lot of women who are struggling a lot in the world right now, if you want to understand, you may want to investigate her relationship with her dad as a generalization. We don't know how many years we will have, obviously, with our kids, but we do know for sure that we will have 3.5 years more with our son Diego than with our daughter because they're 3.5 years apart. So she's going to have a few less birthdays with us, Christmases, all of that, than he will end up having. But they'll lose us at the same moment in time. So in the moment in time, when we do a lifelong gift for one, for example, we bought her a necklace. We put the same amount of money that we spent on that necklace into his lifelong gifts bucket. So the money's just sitting there. In fact, it'll end up going into the Fidelity SPAX account so that it can grow. So the money's sitting there for him. Even though on the surface it looks like, well, you gave her this nice piece of jewelry and I'm just sitting over here. On the back end, it's just his is potential energy and hers is spent energy, or whatever, to use physics terms. So it's a nice way to treat our kids as individuals and separately, but still have them both kind of have like a similar experience in the long run, if that makes sense, have the same amount of resources poured into them. And they know that, so there's not this entitlement going on. We have lifelong gifts, and then we have future. So future's just, there's nothing going into it right now, but I know that we're getting ready to really like take it in the shorts. Like there's a lot that's going to happen. And so as we pay ourselves bonuses at the end of the year, with our job, and then obviously in our business, we'll probably start diverting some money in there just in like lump sums. But I don't know specifically what it will be, if it'll be a car, if it'll be a business, if it'll be plane tickets to go play music somewhere, or I have no idea. So, but it's there because I know it's coming. Francisca's is just the exact same. Her lifelong gift was I bought her we bought her a butterfly necklace, and I know now that it's a Morpho blue butterfly because we have the Lego like insect set, and the Morpho butterfly, the top of the wings is blue and the bottom part of the wings is light blue. So the necklace is blue topaz. It's London blue and Swiss blue topaz, white gold, and it's beautiful. She wears it. It's like a treasured possession. And so no matter how long her dad is in her life or not in her life, she will always have that. And I think that will bring her a lot of comfort and a sense of connection with him. And I think that's good for her spirit and for her mind. All right, now we're to the fun part. We're at holidays. Once a year, we sit down. It's normally like after Christmas, like before New Year. We look at goals for the next year. We look at experiences we want to have. We just tap into ourselves emotionally, where we're at, all of that. And I look at the budget and I set numbers for everything. Now, we can look at it again as the year goes on, right? As inflation does what it does and tears us all a new one. I look and I kind of reset everything. And when it comes to celebrations and holidays, with our budget, I've tried to smooth out the hills and valleys. When we have big bills, I want it to not be a big deal. When we don't have a lot of bills and we have extra money, I want to fill in those gaps, if that makes sense, so that we don't have big surprises one way or the other, and we live as firmly in reality as possible. I'm just going to run through all the holidays for you. You'll just kind of see what it is. So it goes chronologically. So it starts with New Year's Eve and it ends with New Year's Eve, like at the end of the year. So I have New Year's Eve, Kristin's unbirthday. So unbirthdays, people call it a half birthday, which I do understand, but unbirthday is so much more fun. It makes you think of Alice in Wonderland. We play the Very Merry and Birthday song from the Disney cartoon, just on YouTube. It's like 54 seconds long. We dance around. We don't quite do it this way anymore, but we used to have something like more lunch or dinner like for breakfast, like pizza or something. And then just like a little dessert treat like cookies or cupcakes. Nothing big. And then we would give them like $5, just like of spending money. And for a while, the $5 that we would do were like the gold dollars, like the Sacagawea coin dollars. That was really fun. We don't quite get into it quite so much, but we still do the dessert, we still do the song, and we still do a little bit of just spending money. So my birthday is in January, then Dad's birthday, Valentine's Day, Francisca's birthday, Diego's unbirthday, spring. So we do celebrate all the season changes because that's much of our life is the way that it is. The context of our life happens within the season. So we celebrate the seasons changing. Summertime, so pool, outside things, all of that. Daddy-daughter dance, and then mom and Diego. So our town has a daddy-daughter dance every spring, and so they like to go. As long as they want to go, we'll fund that. And then at the same time, Diego and I just go do something, just have some time together. Mother's Day, Memorial Day, which is we're not celebrating the fact that a bunch of people have passed away. We're celebrating the start of summer. Memorial Day didn't have as much meaning for me when I was growing up because I didn't really experience real winter, but now that I do experience the 4 seasons more, it has more meaning to me. Father's Day, summer, baby step 6. So like I said up ahead or up above, baby step 6 is paying off your mortgage. We are paying our mortgage at a rate of $10,000 every 6 months. Now, like I said, naturally on its own, it's like $1,000, a little more than $1,000 under that. So we're having to fund that extra ourselves. But every 6 months, we hit the next decade, the next 10,000. So at the end of June and then at the end of December, we celebrate that. This year in June, we hit the 170s. It's the end of September, early October now, and we're actually at $175,000 now. So we're halfway between the 170s and the 160s, because technically, like I said, when you're at 169,999, you are in the 160s. So tap, tap, we're there, right? Like putting your foot over the border, like from California to Arizona and being like, I'm in Arizona now. You know, like in there's parts where the Colorado River is really narrow and really shallow. So it's kind of like that. So baby step 6, celebrating that. And then Independence Day, my birthday, Mike's unbirthday, Francisca's unbirthday, Diego's birthday, autumn or fall, Halloween, our anniversary, Thanksgiving weekend, winter, Christmas, or the solstice, whatever. Next year's vision and goals. So like I said, after Christmas, that week between Christmas and New Year's, we really do a lot of like, hey, what is our vision? What do we want? All of that, and then we give them legs and we make a plan around that, just make sure we're on track. Mike is really, really busy a lot. I mean, we both have a lot going on, all of us do, but he's especially busy. So this is really like the only time of year where I really bother him about this and like, let's talk about it. It's almost like in some ways, he's the engine and I'm steering. So it's a good time for us to like check in with each other. And then baby step 6, December 28th, so just in a few months from now, we'll have our next 10K celebration because we'll get to the 160s. That was a lot. It's a lot to celebrate all year round. Category 17 is family. So this is vacations, trips, traveling, local fun things, things like that. So I have just the general experiences fund for 2023, and then everything under it until you get to 2024 are just things from the year. One of the transfers that we have to each of our kids is $10 a month to do their own family experiences with us, you know, things that are local, or if we're on a trip, something they want to do while we're there. That's just a transfer that happens. We have done. So we went to SoCal in March and went to like my hometown and went to the beach and everything. It was really, really fun. Last month or August, we went to Boise, and actually we didn't really go to Eastern Oregon, but we wanted to. We went to the Boise area. So those are the 2 trips we've done this year. So what I do is I actually fund this general experiences fund for the year. I just put a set amount in each month and it just builds up. And then when we plan something, I just transfer the money into that fund so that I can keep notes and remember what we did. At the end of the year, well, not at the end of the year, but when I do my end of year like goal setting and all of that, when I create my January budget, I get rid of all the 2023 stuff everywhere. So like up above where I had said toolboxes 2023, I'll delete that. I will just delete everything and get it cleared out and ready to go for 2024. I have those things, and we don't have another trip planned for 2023. Francisca's in 4th grade, so we wanted to do the National Park Pass, but we just have a lot of things going on. We bought tickets to go see Keene next September. Diego is named after them. Because we bought those tickets, we spent basically what we're going to go with like a larger group, and they bought the tickets for us. And I'm glad they got good tickets, but we just spent enough on ticket. I mean, they didn't go out of our budget, so it was totally great, but they spent basically what we would have spent on a park a trip to like Zion or Arches. So unless we like can scrape some money together elsewhere, we're done for 2023 traveling. Starting January 1st, I will start funding this. Category 18 is generosity. Okay, let's talk a little bit about generosity. There have been times where we've just done like 10%, mostly for our kids, but like 10% of generosity toward causes. We've done like holiday generosity where we've purchased gifts like of a giving tree, like for a specific person. We've done generosity where we've, donated money to people who are doing something meaningful for a mutual friend or helping somebody specific out who's just going through something. We've done a lot of different things over the years. I have found that it's more meaningful and it's very much appreciated when it's someone you know, even if they don't know that it was you, which I think as much giving that you do anonymously, I just saw a spider on the ceiling. I want to kill it. I got it. We have decided to keep our generosity closer. Couple things. We keep some fun things on hand that I find, candles, glitter wands, like just cool stuff that like can even pick someone up when they're having a rough day. And then we also have spontaneous gifts, white elephant gifts. Okay, last category is Virtuous Heretic. It's this. I have set up like to get going URL, so registering virtuousheretic.com. It's not hosted, it's nothing. You can go check it out and there's nothing there, but I own it. And I can't believe it was available, but it was. I mean, Virtuous Heretic is something that Benjamin Franklin mentioned. So it's not like I made it up, but it was available. And now it's not because I have it. And then I also have the DBA registration. So I want to talk about this a little bit. Why am I even doing all of this, right? Like, what is the point of all of this? I've actually wanted to do this for a number of years. I've wanted to wait till my kids were a little bit older. I feel like the internet is full of people talking about how I homeschool my 5-year-old and things like that. When your kids are in upper elementary into middle school, that's when shit gets hard. That's when it's difficult. That's when you're together all the time. That's when you have an accumulation of years where it's like, I don't have time to clean. I never have time to myself. There's a little bit of dignity in homemaking on your own terms without having to answer for how you're doing it or, what ways you're doing it. It's easier to clean a space when there's not someone occupying it all the time. There's a number of things that make, when you get to this point, it's just a little bit difficult. There are a lot of people on the internet who say, you should homeschool your kids. Don't send your kids to school. Homeschool them, raise them, all of that. I don't want to be rude because I'm grateful for people who get it to some extent. But to me, this sounds a little bit like when you hear a feminist who studied social engineering saying that more women need to go into STEM. Thank you. We don't need your opinion. There are so many people on the internet, some men, some women, who say homeschool your kids, do this, do that. And they have nannies taking care of their kids. They have people cleaning their houses and they're not homeschooling their kids themselves. They're talking the talk and they're not doing the walk. I don't know if it's hypocritical, and I'm not mad at them for spreading the message and having a large platform. I think that's great. It's like the elephant in the room when they say that. I feel like there's not a lot of practitioners who are doing it, talking about it. And I could go on, but I have just felt nudged to do this for that purpose, for legacy building, to help other people who are like, I want to do this, but I have no idea where to even begin, how to even think about it. That's the main reason why I'm here. Second reason why I'm here. You see the DBA registration. I'm on the internet talking. That means I have a methodology for making money. That means I can deduct more off my taxes. I don't even care if this ever gets monetized. But just by using things that I would need anyway, I would need a laptop anyway, I would need new clothes every so often anyway, I would need makeup anyway. Certain things that I would need anyway are now business expenses. And so I can have a business that doesn't make any profit and I am saving my family money on taxes. I'm also doing this because I just feel like the time is now. This is where people start to go, I can't handle my kids' education. We're screaming and yelling all the time, or kids are just atrophying in their curiosity, and keeping the flame of curiosity alive is so important. There are great resources, there are great systems and ways of doing things that can work and be fun and exciting, where each of your kids and you have responsibilities and structure, but you're also free to take on some new creative projects. And we're a very creative household, and I feel like me having this creative project is gonna contribute to my kids feeling like we're all creative. I'm the family facilitator. Now that they're getting older, I don't want them to think, well, mom's just always available to me. I want them to feel a little bit like, hey, mom has this thing that she's doing. Like, I've got to be a little more on my own because she's not as available to me as she used to be. Do I leave the house and go do things? No, I'm with them. Like, we are together. It's a different type of energy now that they're getting older. I'll stop there because this video is way too long. Thank you very much for being here. I hope that it was helpful, like I said, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.